Last thing I want to talk about why Hendon Hooker will break out for the Tennessee Vols this upcoming season. Hendon Hooker is the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. Last season, he completed 68.2% of his passes, threw for 2,945 passing yards, and had 31 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. Let me repeat that again. This guy only threw 3 interceptions and had 31 touchdowns. That was one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in all of college football. And on top of that, he had 5 rushing touchdowns and 620 rushing yards while averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Hendon Hooker, for some reason, not a lot of people know how good this man is. Like, I went on the Bleacher Report app, right? And they have like the NFL draft community section where, like, if you're just somebody who only just wants to talk to the draft, that's a place for you. So I went to the community section and I made the post saying that Hendon Hooker will have a breakout season for Tennessee, and he will end up being the 3rd best quarterback behind Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in the 2023 NFL draft. And I also said that he would end up being the 1st round pick. And to my surprise, like, not too many people knew who Hendon Hooker was. And I was like, are we serious right now? Like, this man had 31 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And yeah, we don't know, like, not enough people know who this guy is. Like, it really surprises me. And I feel like Kentucky, they're going to end up winning. Like, Kentucky is going to be there, right? They're probably going to be everybody's pick to be the 2nd best team in the SEC East behind Georgia. But I really feel like Tennessee could end up being better than Kentucky this season. And a large reason for that is because Hendon Hooker. Because anytime you have a quarterback as good as Hendon Hooker, who also doesn't turn the football over, like, you're going to be in a lot of one-possession games more times than not. And on top of that, you look at how good Hendon Hooker was last season. Imagine how much improvement he's going to make this offseason, and how much improvement he's made over the spring, and how much improvement he's going to continue to make over the summer and fall camp as we inch closer to the start of the upcoming college football season. Like, if this guy threw 31 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions last season, imagine what he could do this year. Heck, he might end up throwing 60 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. I'm just playing. I don't think that's realistically going to happen. But, you know, like, you guys get what I'm trying to say. Like, you look at Tennessee and the team that they have around Hendon Hooker. Like, they have 8 out of 11 returning starters coming back on offense. They returned 4 out of 5 of their starting offensive linemen from last season. Their leading rusher, Jabari Small, returns. Their leading receiver, Cedric Tillman, returns. Like, their offense pretty much is the same outside of a couple of players who ended up graduating or leaving for the NFL draft or whatnot. So you look at Tennessee, man, like, this team is a dark horse to end up winning the SEC, pending if something happens. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying winning the SEC. Let me take that back. Maybe they could win the SEC East. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they will. I don't expect them to. But I am saying that there is a small possibility that they could. Like, this team is being really overlooked. And when you have a quarterback just this good as Hendon Hooker, more times than not, you end up being able to win at least 9, maybe 10 games and having a storybook season. And when you have so many returning players coming back, like, I just think that it's a great recipe for a fantastic season for the Tennessee Vols. And I think this team is not only going to win at least 9 games, but I also feel like Hendon Hooker could end up being a dark horse Heisman contender. Like, he's really accurate, really good when it comes to making decisions with the football. And although some people are going to be like, yeah, JT, he only threw 3 interceptions, but what about the interceptions that were dropped by defensive backs and whatnot? Okay, like, everybody has a couple of those, but anyway, like, he still has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in America. Like, okay, like, if he threw like 3 or 4 more interceptions, okay, like, nothing still would change. Like, he's still like a really good decision maker with the football. And on top of that, like, this guy just has that. He just has something special about them. Like, anytime you need Hendon Hooker to make a big play for you, he delivers more times than not. outside of, the Georgian game and whatnot, because they were just outmatched in that game. But in games where Tennessee was evenly matched, or they were the better team, and Hendon Hooker needed to step up and make a big play on third down or a big play to keep Tennessee in the game, he stepped up and made those big plays time in and time out. So I just feel like for Hendon Hooker, man, like, you look at the talent that he has returning back on that Tennessee offense, and you look at how good he was last season and the potential development that he could make from last year to this year, like, it's really huge. And right now, if you were to ask me to name the top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC, Hendon Hooker would be in that conversation. So you guys let me know how you guys feel about Hendon Hooker. Do you guys feel like he will have a breakout season for the Tennessee Volunteers football program this season? Make sure that you guys comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate you guys for listening to this episode of the JT Sports Podcast. Every video that's uploaded on the channel is available in audio format on every single podcasting platform: Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. The JT Sports Podcast is available. I appreciate you guys for listening in, and I will see you guys shortly with another episode of the JT Sports Podcast.